Can't believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see, we've been volleyballed all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball.
Hey, welcome to Volleyball'd. I'm Carlos,
And I'm Allison.
and thank you for checking out the podcast once again, as we've now grown accustomed to saying, like and subscribe, see where things go from there.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Thumbs up. Yay.
you're the one who reached out to me, and you're like, hey, we picked up Germany. Like, I don't know who's like a fan of volleyball or David Hasselhoff, so now we're in the realm of the Hoff.
Oh, my God.
That's what we're doing. It's good.
You did not just say that out loud.
Why not? It's a Hoff, man. Like, we grew up with this. Baywatch was big when we were kids.
How do we go? How do you go from the country of Germany to David Hasselhoff and Baywatch in one like fluid thought? Like,
Because
how does that happen in an adult human brain?
First off, I'm really weird. You know this. After this long of a marriage, you know that I'm a strange person. But outside of that, David Hasselhoff was really popular in Germany. And so we now get to claim that we're the David Hasselhoff of volleyball in Germany.
You run with that, buddy. Let's put that on a T-shirt. That sounds great.
Again, thanks to everybody for checking us out. We got a chance to catch up with a good friend of ours at this point. And we were talking about doing a recruiting episode. And the first person I reached out to was Coach Erin Flynn. Now, she's an educator in the Atlanta area. She coaches over at A5, won a national championship last year. We actually had the scenario when my daughter was on the team. They finished third at AAU Nationals. They were this close. But her daughter is a freshman at Alaska Fairbanks. And they went through the entirety of the recruiting process. And I think what jumped out to us and what we talked about why we wanted her on was because we were there for so much of it. We talked about, hey, will she get phone calls tomorrow? Or, is she going to kind of be left in the dark? And then when she did get phone calls, how did that go? And then there were teammates of hers that committed before she did who didn't get any phone calls. It was a wild scenario of what volleyball parents go through during the recruiting process.
Also, it's Alaska. I mean,
she loves it.
It's like a household name now. Like, did you hear there's a kid going to the University of Alaska Fairbanks? Like, it's crazy town to think that your kid could someday go off literally to the opposite side of the country, different time zone, different climate, to play volleyball.
Well,
it's a great story.
But the wild part is, and I love the story, is when you look at their roster, they're from all over the country. Predominantly West Coast. But, there's girls from Hawaii. There's girls from California. There's girls from Oregon. And so they looked at it as, hey, we're getting a girl from Atlanta. Like, we're getting somebody who comes all the way across the country to come show up and play. And so if you're ever, especially if you've been in this process, where you do not feel like you're being valued, this is a great story for that. All right, here is our very special guest right here on Volleyball'd. She's a wife. She's a mother. She has two very athletic daughters. She's an educator in the Atlanta area, a high school coach, and a club coach with A5. And when it comes to national championships, she's got one as well. So she's got a banner to her credit. She's Erin Flynn, and she joins us on Volleyball'd. Coach, thank you for the time this evening.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, how you been?
I'm doing good. Just in the throes of high school playoff season. So not going to say my school, but we won last night. So we're kind of excited.
Congratulations. That's totally fine. You can go ahead and talk about that as well.
No, that's fine. We are very excited. So we'll take it. We're going to play East Coweta on Saturday. Hopefully we'll win that one too. So.
Well, awesome. Well, I wanted to have you on in part because you have a daughter who's now a freshman as a collegiate athlete. And so many of the parents were asking us about the whole recruiting process and
Mhm.
how it all went. And I remember, going back to June 14th, 2 years ago, we were all together and you were like, man, I really hope that your older daughter, Kellen, I hope she gets some phone calls. And so I remember showing up to the court and we're like, how'd it go? And she's like, she got some calls. Uh, let's talk about pre June 14th and that
Sure.
as a coach, as an educator, as somebody who's been in the volleyball community, what were the level of expectations that you were trying to set with your daughter when it came to this process?
So I think the first thing that we had to kind of acknowledge with her was what do you actually want? Do you want to play volleyball in college? What does that look like for you? What are your expectations? What level do you want to play at? How hard do you want to go after this? Because I think for both my husband and I, we thought this is not about us. This is about her. And if she's not going to invest in it and she's not going to put forth the effort and she's not serious about it, then we're not going to push it either. So I think the first thing we really had to do was have a conversation with her about what did she want? What did she expect? Is this something she really wanted to pursue? Now, if you know my child or either one of my children, they're dual sport athletes. There's never a question about whether they want to do it. It's just a matter of like, tell them to slow down and stop because they go hard no matter what. So it really wasn't too much of a debate with us. But once we committed to that process and Kellen said, this is really what I want to do, then we went ahead and went through, okay, so here's what we have to do. Where do we start? What do we do? And I think the hard part for us was we didn't know. The advantage that we did have is that my husband is in college athletics. So we had some people that we could ask. We had the club, thankfully, A5 does help with recruiting and give you some ideas about what that looks like and what you maybe need to be doing. But to be honest, the people that we leaned on the hardest um, were some of her club coaches who were former players in college or people that had college connections or people that just were supportive in the process of how do we start this. And it really started when she was heading into her freshman year of high school. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that no one's going to do it for you. You are going to find very few kids that are sitting there not doing anything and they get approached on June 15th by some big school and they miraculously get this amazing scholarship and they're going to their dream school and they're playing where they want to play. You have to work at it. You have to work really hard at it and you have to work hard early. So we started pulling film from our matches at club, from our matches at high school. We started cutting highlights and we started the process of talking about, okay, we have all this, we put it together. Now, what do we want to do with it? Where do you want to go with it? We did showcases like Big South before Big South. There's a showcase in St. Louis before the St. Louis tournament. So anytime we went to a big tournament, a qualifier, she would participate in the showcases that were being hosted. Prep Dig did a lot of those. And A5 hosted the one for Big South. And even just getting on the court with some older kids, getting them some exposure, we started just talking to her about what does that look like? What kind of attitude do you have? How do you appeal to coaches? How do you make sure that they see you? Having those conversations with her. And we worked through the process of, okay, we've got highlights. We're starting to go through this process of getting coaches' attention and trying to get people to look at you. What do you want to do? And I think the hardest part for my child is that she very, very clearly and quickly knew exactly what she wanted to pursue in college. She wanted to do engineering. And if you look across the board at engineering programs and you want to go to a strong engineering program, really limits the amount of colleges that you can go to and it limits the amount of programs that you can be interested in. So that was the first conversation. I think that's an important conversation because we've always preached to our kids, you're a student athlete and the student part is first. And you have got to be 100% all in on your grades and being a good student before you can do anything else. So that was easy for her because she knew that our first priority is you're going to school to be a student. you get the privilege of playing a sport. So that was easy for her. She wanted to do engineering. And then from there, what we really did was we started honing in on schools with engineering and volleyball. And my awesome husband put together a contact list of all the head coaches and recruiting coordinators across D1 and D2 and D3 that offer engineering. And he put it into a spreadsheet for her. And she just started emailing and blasting coaches highlights every time she was done with the tournament. She started sending emails and reminders that hey, I'm going to be at this tournament this weekend. If you're going to be there, especially qualifiers and big tournaments, this is my schedule. And she started getting people coming and watching. And that was really the hardest part, I think, is that just getting going and getting started before she was actually eligible to talk to people June 15th before her junior year. I think that's a really hard process to figure out when you don't know where to start. So really it just starts with putting together highlights, sending it out to people, and just getting yourself out there and promoting yourself as much as you can, because no one else is going to do it for you. And I'll be honest, there are times when coaches would send her emails back and be like, stop emailing us. We've already got your stuff. And it's hard. It's very difficult to hear those things. But at the same time, I think her tenacity is part of what paid off for her in the end. So we just kept encouraging her to keep going after it, keep going after it, keep going after it. So prior to June 15th, it was really just a process of trying to figure out how to get as much attention for her as we could, but she needed to do it on her own. And we helped her cut highlights, and we helped her figure out the wording of emails. We helped her figure out how to do things. But ultimately, our two rules were that it had to come from her, and any conversations that she was going to have had to be done with her doing the talking. We weren't involved. And that any interest that she gained from anybody, any contacts, anything, that she responded to everything. If they were good enough to reach out to you, you reach back out to them. We don't cut ties with anybody. And that ended up paying off after June 15th as well. So, so prior to June 15th, that's kind of the process.
Erin Flynn is our guest. She's a coach over at A5. She's an educator in the Atlanta area. She's got a national championship. She has a daughter who's currently as a freshman, and we'll get into that as a collegiate. And here's what I wanted to point out, though. Your daughter, like, won every award that could possibly be won. I was like, she's all state. She was an amazing athlete, accomplished everything at the club level. And so it was still that factor of, I still have to let everybody know who I am, just so you know what I am and what I'm trying to do here.
Right. And you have to take that into account. How many clubs are in this country? How many kids are out there playing every weekend at a high level? And how many states are in this country? And how many kids can say, I was on an all-state team, I was player of the year? A ton. There's a ton of talented kids out there. So it's really difficult, and you have to be willing to promote yourself. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. How passionate are you? How much do you want it? Are you going to go after it? Because truthfully, as much as the club can help you and give you advice, they're not going to do it for you. Nobody's going to come to your door and be like, hey, here's a present. I have a scholarship for you. You have to work for it, and you have to put yourself out there and promote yourself.
It's funny too. It starts younger and younger, Erin. I was at our youngest 11's practice today, and one of the moms was like, hey, love your podcast. I'd love to hear about. And she dove into, like, what's up with all these top 100 watch lists and prep dig this or NCSA? Like, how do I get my daughter noticed earlier and sooner? And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. First of all, she's in fifth grade. She's in fifth grade. So let's slow down a second. But we are all curious parents, right? Like you said, Kellen started seriously thinking about this her freshman year, but I feel like earlier and earlier, people are starting to put their highlight reels together. They're getting their Instagram and social media set up. NIL is starting to come into the mix. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know when to start and what to do?
Right. And so, it's fine if you want to start putting that stuff together earlier. I think that's great. I think that's great practice. But realistically, for most of these kids, to me, it doesn't make sense to start before your freshman year of high school because you still have another 2 years before you're eligible to be spoken to by coaches. They can't contact you until before your junior year, June 15th. Now, I'm sure that there are things that happen, and I'm not going into that, but that's the reality. So really, to me, and so many of these girls change. So many of these girls grow. So many of these girls come into their bodies and learn how to use what they are gifted with, their height, their athleticism, as they get older. So, how many of our girls start in one position? Ellen started as an outside hitter, which I could have told you was not going to last because she can't jump higher than a credit card. But she ended up being a libero. How many of our girls change positions? How many of our girls learn something and it clicks for them when they're older? It's not typical that you have these amazing, phenomenal athletes, 11 and 12, and you should be worrying about putting together recruiting film. It comes later. It comes when they're 14. It comes when they're 15. For the vast majority of them. There are exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions. But for the vast majority of them, it's not till they're older, until they're high school age, until they're starting to put together some of that and figure it out. And to me, that's what makes the most sense. Why stress them out? Why put them in a position where they're freaking out about college? Why not let them be children and enjoy the sport before they worry about getting recruited? So while it may be fun to put together, hey, okay, here's where I'm playing, come watch me play. The reality is that most coaches for college are not coming to watch 11, 12, 13-year-olds unless they're phenoms, unless they have something that just is amazing, that's a once in a generation thing where it's like, wow, this kid's a standout. They're looking at the older girls. They're looking at high school. They are not looking at the little girls. So why put them in a position to stress themselves out with silly things that don't matter until they get to be 15, 16, 17? So to me, it doesn't make sense. Yes, it's great to have those dreams. It's great to have those aspirations. Please push those, inspire, let them pursue those and have those dreams. But let them be children. Let them be young athletes. Let them figure it out. I think that's so important.
Erin Flynn is our guest. She's a national championship winning coach with A5. She's also an educator in the area and a high school coach as well. Her daughter is a freshman currently at Alaska Fairbanks as a libero. And so I want to ask you about post June 15th, because so much of when we were all together, so many of the families, they were like, okay, who's going to get phone calls? And so much of them are exploratory, and there are girls that get crushed when they don't get the phone calls on June 15th. What was it like for your daughter, and what was y'all's process when it came to trying to organize some of this information when she is getting those phone calls and trying to kind of determine, okay, who is serious and who's just trying to find out a little bit more?
Sure. So I think, so for, and everybody doesn't know this, so I had the lovely blessing of having y'all as parents on my 12-year-old team, which just happened to be the year that Kellen was experiencing
Oh yeah,
phone
you
calls June
did.
15th. So yes, so you guys were with us, and you were privy to the process. You saw a lot of the joy, and you saw a lot of the disappointment too. So but I wasn't actually with her on June 15th, which you guys all know because we were at nationals and she was at home. And I was super nervous. I know you guys all know that because I was like, oh my God, please just let her get one contact. Please just let somebody want her to come play volleyball for them. And I remember seeing you guys June 15th, and it was probably 15 or 16 schools that had contacted her at different levels, D1, D2. Um, and just the relief for her. I remember talking to her on the phone and her cry and that relief of feeling like she was good enough to continue playing and that there were schools that were interested. So I think that was awesome. And I think at the same time, incredibly hard to watch some of her friends and teammates get 0 to 1 or 2 contacts. And I feel like they're just as good and great kids. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening for them. So I think that day in particular is very challenging. Um, and I think then from there, everybody's story is different. And I think what everybody goes through is unique and yet very similar. So I think the first thing is that that's an initial and that's a contact and that's great. Like we told Kellen, if they reach out to you and they want to speak to you, the answer is yes. What time works for you? When can we set something up? Everybody that contacts you, you are returning and you are speaking with. Our logic behind that process was one, it's an experience. You're only going to get better at speaking to people and getting answers to your questions and figuring out where you want to be by speaking to everyone. Two is that there's a lot of change in this college volleyball world, coaching and player. So making those contacts with people and creating those relationships with these coaches can be incredibly valuable in that if you're unhappy after you go somewhere and you want to transfer and you had a good contact with a coach, who's to say that they won't be interested in you still and say, yeah, I got a place for you to transfer here. Or you have a great contact with a coach, you decide not to go there, and they move and go to a school that's bigger, that's better, that's somewhere that you might have wanted to be, and they call you and say, hey, I got a spot. Do you want to transfer here? For us, that was part of our logic. Also, I think part of our logic was we wanted her to find her place and we wanted her to be happy wherever she was. And we didn't know what that looked like. And as we started to go through the process, we realized very quickly that there are some schools that will contact you and say, oh yeah, we're interested, come to our camp. What a scam that was for some schools. And I hate to say that, but those are money makers for a lot of those people. When they say, come to our camp, we want you to come. A lot of the times they have no interest, or they're just trying to get money and fundraise for their program. And I think that's something to keep in mind. And you have to be very careful about which camps you pick and choose. And I feel like we made some good decisions about camps, and we also made some not good decisions about camps. I think we had to have a little bit of a reality check with her and be like, that's probably not someplace that really is interested in you. You probably shouldn't have gone there. And we probably need to say, hey, thanks so much for talking with me. I'm moving on. And I think that we also stressed with her, you need to make sure that wherever you're going, you like the town or city, you like the coaches, you like the girls, they have what you want to study. We wanted it to check all of the boxes for her. And ultimately, we were also hoping that she would pick a place that she felt like she was going to be at for 4 years. There's no intent to transfer. And to us, that was a big thing because we both felt like, my husband and I, that part of your college experience is learning how to adjust to life outside of your house without your parents, without the fallback, without the excuse, without somebody to dig you out of trouble, and for you to learn how to manage life by yourself. And for us, the only reason for her to transfer was if she was completely 100% miserable and it was a bad situation, or if something crazy happened. Otherwise, we want her to stick it out and figure out, this is a place I love. I came here because I love it. I love the program. I love the major that I'm in. I love the girls. I love the coaches. I want to be here. I have a tough moment. How do I get through it? We don't want her to use transferring as an easy out. Never wanted that. So I think there are a couple of things that we had in mind for her and that we talked about with her. From there forward, every conversation that she had on the phone with coaches, she had. And trust me, I was sitting in the background, smiling and cringing at the same time, listening to every conversation, hoping that she didn't say the wrong thing, or she said the right thing, or she asked all the right questions. But ultimately, it's not my life, it's hers. And so I felt like it was really important, and my husband felt like it was really important to give her ownership over that process and not interfere. And there were moments when she got off of phone calls and she was like, that is not it. That is not the place. There are moments when she got off phone calls and she's like, I really, really love that. I really like that coach. I really like that school. I'm really interested in that. And so we started to put together a spreadsheet of all the places that she was talking to, of the coaches that she talked to, the pros, the cons. We put together a full spreadsheet. What were the possible offers? Would it be, most of the tuition? Would it be all of the tuition? Would it be some of the tuition? What would that look like? And we had to kind of modify that as we went. When she lost interest in something and she didn't feel like it was a good fit anymore, We marked it off, and she had to make the phone call to the coach and say, "Thank you so much. I'm no longer interested. I appreciate the process, but I'm going to keep moving in a different direction." And that was very challenging for her. On the flip side, I think the other part of all this that's incredibly difficult for almost all athletes is that these kids have zero power in this process, and the coaches have all of the power. Um, they control it. They can decide to drop you at any minute and not talk to you anymore and completely ghost you. And that happened a lot. And it happened to schools that she was very interested in. And the emotional roller coaster of this process is very hard. It's hard to watch your kid hurt. It's hard to watch your kid cry. It's hard to watch your kid go, maybe I should just give up. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Um, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And these are adult coaches talking to teenage girls who have these dreams and these visions and these goals. And when they hear no, which they're going to hear more of than they hear yes, they're devastated. And it's hard. And you have to figure out how to push forward and how to keep encouraging them and talk to them. And there were many times in the process where she was doubting herself, where she was saying, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not good enough. And that's hard. That's really hard to listen to your child say things like that when you just want them to push forward and meet their goal and reach their dream and get what they want. It's hard. It's hard for anybody in any situation, but it was very, very difficult to listen to. So to be fair, there are kids who commit right away. And I think that that's great if they find their fit right away. I think for Kellen and for a lot of kids, it takes a lot longer than that. And they need to be diligent and stick to the process and find what they want and what they love. We spent a year and a couple of months. So we were through her junior year and we were watching friends and teammates commit and find their place. And that was also very challenging because Kellen never felt like she had any offers that were what she wanted. And the places that she was still talking to were down to her and another person or her and two other people. And they were still kind of weeding things out and figuring out numbers and figuring out financials. And so the waiting game is also really difficult. So we went through a lot and we were a year removed from the process heading into her senior year. We were headed to nationals in Vegas. And as I stated earlier, we told her anybody that contacts you, you return the contact and you speak with them. And we were landing in Vegas for nationals. I will never forget landing on the tarmac, taxiing to the gate. And she says, "Mom, look at this one." And I looked at it and I chuckled. And I said, "Mike, you got to see this." And we showed it to my husband. And he said, "That's pretty funny." And it was from the University of Alaska in Fairbanks. And we're chuckling to ourselves. And she looks at Mike and she says, "I even returned this one, Dad?" And he says, "Even that one, bud." And she reached out to them. And we were in conversations with three other places. One that she was going to later on in the month to go to their camp because they specifically asked her to come so they could see her play in person. One that was between her and another person, and a third one that we were kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with the coach. So it was a lot and it was kind of overwhelming. And so she kind of put Alaska on the back burner and said, "Yeah, I'm interested in talking to you." They had a conversation. Their first conversation, they talked for probably an hour with her and two of the coaches. And she got off the call and she was like, "I really like the coaches. It was really awesome, but it's Alaska and I'm not going to Alaska." And so we continued talking to other schools. We went later in the month. We were headed to one of the schools that wanted her to come to a camp to see her. And that was the day of the epic Delta Airlines meltdown, where we spent 24 hours in the Atlanta airport trying to get on a flight to go to the camp. And and we could not get there. And she contacted the coaches throughout the day to let them know what was happening. No problem. It's fine. If you don't get here, it's okay. We'll figure something out. We'll touch base in the middle of the week. We'll figure it out. Um, that ended up being one of the most devastating situations because later on in the week, they called her and told her that they took someone who had come to the camp that weekend. So, kind of circling back to that like devastation, and they have all the power, and a lot of things happen. That happened. The one that was between her and another person, they picked the other kid. The one we were waiting on the coach actually ended up moving to a new school. We were kind of running out of things, and it was like feeling like it was desperation. And we had told her, like, hey, like, keep talking to everyone. There's still people talking to you. It's fine. And Alaska reached out and said, we want to bring you on an official visit. And she said, oh my God, what do I say? And I said, just say you're going to go because then you can go to Alaska. And she was like, okay, I'll go. And I couldn't go. My husband went with her. And I was like, well, have fun. This is going to be an experience. It'll be great. Um, and anybody who knows Kellen knows that she is a genuinely nice person, but Kellen is not warm and fuzzy. She is not affectionate. My husband said they landed at Fairbanks Airport where there is six gates. And they came out and they were trying to figure out where they were supposed to be meeting. And the assistant coach walked up to them and she's like, Kellen, and hugged her. And Kellen is not a hugger, froze. And my husband's like, just go, you're good, you're good, you're good. And they went directly to the gym where the girls were practicing so she could watch practice. And in the middle of practice, girls are running over and saying, hey, Kellen, and hugging her. And she's every time just frozen, kind of stiff. And Mike's like, you're okay. You're okay. It's okay. Let people hug you. You're fine. Yeah, exactly. And the head coach came over and gave her a hug and welcomed her. And he goes, we're huggers here. And Mike said he could just see the panic in her face. But less than 24 hours, and Mike called me and said, I just want you to know this is where she's going to school.
Oh,
And I really had to come to grips with it and be okay with it. But when people tell you, I just knew, Kellen just knew. She knew. The people were right. The place was right. The engineering program was right. The offer was right. Everything hit at the right time. And I think that ultimately for us, the thing that we came to realize is that everything did happen for a reason. So many of the things that she was talking through with other people, we look back now and we go, look what happened there. Look what happened there. Look what happened there. Look what happened there. So many of them were blessings in disguise that she didn't end up getting them. And we are currently, we're currently 2.5 months into the season. And my child is a freshman. And she chose to go to a school where she knew she would get an opportunity to play and get a good education, and she is playing and she is contributing a very important amount to the team. And they're currently ranked 21st in the country in Division II. And she could not be a happier person. She's maybe happier than I've ever seen her in the last 5 years. She loves the girls. She's made amazing friends, and not a single one of them is from Alaska because none of the girls on the team are from Alaska. But it's special, and it has become such a great experience for her. And knowing what she went through and knowing how difficult the process was and seeing her find a home and be happy with it has been amazing. And I for all the heartache and all the work, I would not change a thing for her. And I truly believe that she will be staying in Alaska for 4 years, although it devastates my mama heart. She is content. And that is the best part of all this, is that it is very easy to be happy for her when she is happy. And she's getting a chance to do what she loves for 4 more years. So I'm very grateful. Like I said, the process was nothing easy. It was very challenging, and it is hard as a parent and as an athlete to go through. But I think it was a great experience for her. She learned a lot, and I think she'll be a better person because of it. So,
what I love so much about the story, Erin, is you hear the whispers around the gym as very confident parents or very confident about their daughter's athletic ability. And it's this like whole stigma of the D1 or bust. Like, oh, we're going D1 or nothing. Like that's it. Obviously, that's the only place to go. And I think just from our conversations in the past, you learn along the way that there's some bad D1 programs and there's some really great D2,
Yes.
D3, even NAIA programs where
Yes.
you can find the University of Alaska Fairbanks for your child and like they will reach their maximum potential as not only a volleyball player but as a human because they're going to love their life there. And I think that's something that parents need to hear because
Hmm.
they just assume I you got to chase the dream, but you got to chase it where you're wanted, right?
Right.
Like don't go
Right.
be the sixth middle on a team.
Right. Where
You're
you're going
not
to
going to
stand on the sideline. Right.
right. Like go
Yep.
find a place where they want you and they need you. Maybe they, love a smaller outside, or maybe they only want to play with a left-handed right opposite, or whatever. Like find the coach that's looking for the player that your daughter is, and go help that
Absolutely.
place.
Yes, absolutely. And that is one thing that we learned through the whole process. It's intimidating. And of course, everybody's like, oh, D1, amazing, amazing. I want to go D1. But there are a lot of really bad D1 schools out there. And it's not anybody's fault. That's just the way it is. And there are some really great D2, D3 schools out there. And there are amazing volleyball players all over this country. And I think one of the coolest things for me right now is that she is playing in Alaska. She has traveled to Montana. She has played in Idaho. She has played in Washington. She's getting ready to go to Oregon. She's gone to British Columbia. She's getting to play kids out on the West Coast that she only saw at national qualifiers. She's now playing against them consistently. And there's a whole different type of volleyball out there. And it is cool to see it. It is cool to watch. It is cool to realize that all the way across this country at all levels, there is darn good volleyball. And there are places for all of these girls who want to play, and they are all good players. They deserve that opportunity, but they have to find the place that works for them. And that, I think that is the biggest takeaway for us, is we found what worked for her while she wanted to commit early, while she wanted to say, yes, I'm going here. And everybody else was getting that opportunity. And it hurt to watch friends throughout the year, her junior year, get those opportunities. But when it came for her, I don't know that I could have been any happier for her. It came at the right time. And it was awesome. So knowing that it happens and it happens at the right time for your kid, and if they're willing to stay with the process and find what works for them, knowing that I truly can't express how happy she is and how much that means to us and how great it's been for her and for both Mike and I, and for her little sister as an example of what to go after and what to achieve. So I think it's been an awesome process in the end, but I am not gonna lie, it was really difficult going through the whole thing. And y'all saw that. I think you guys saw, even after you guys weren't on our team anymore and we kept in touch, you guys had conversations with me where it was hard. There were moments, and to your husband's credit, he might be the most positive human being on the face of the earth because he was always pumping me and telling me, it's all good. It's all good. She's amazing. It's
Great,
going
it's
to be
great,
good.
Aaron.
She's
It's gonna
going to
be
figure
fine.
it out. Yeah. So he
He
was
wants
always
everyone.
talking me off the ledge. So, he's an amazing person. I appreciate that support. And that's the other thing. Man, did that kid have some amazing coaches that supported her. She had Bree and Adrian her 14th year that were amazing. She had Pat and Leah her 15th year, and then she had Pat and Leah again her 16th year. She had Angel and Mary her 17th year, and then she had Boba and Mary her 18th year. And every single one of those people poured their hearts into helping her and genuinely loved her and supported her and did whatever they could to help her. And you couldn't ask for better things than that, because those people still love her and reach out to her and check on her. And it's amazing. So that is a blessing too. If you have coaches who are willing to pour into you and willing to fight for you and help for you and talk about you in rooms that you're not in to help you get recruited and to give you just that positive energy, that's amazing as well.
Well, Erin Flynn is our guest, and we'll finish up with this because Allison wanted to tell you a quick story about something
Oh
that
gosh.
campus, Minnesota. And I told her, I was like, I agree. We got a couple minutes left. Let's finish with just this little quick one.
You probably don't even know this story, Erin, but this was when we got knocked out of gold bracket in Minneapolis. And The rest of us went to get a bite to eat, and my husband went promptly to the bar where we left him for a few hours. And when I came back, he had a meatball sub in front of him. Let me see if I can paint this portrait for you. He is holding the meatball sub on the bottom with each hand on either end, and he is eating the sub like a piece of watermelon. Literally just like taking full bites.
I was sad
out of the middle of his sandwich. And when I asked him if he was all right, he was like, I'm sad. his sad meatball stuff. He's literally smiling with marinara sauce like the Joker all the way up both sides of his cheek. We still have dads come tell me
again,
the story.
you and your assistant coach, we saw y'all earlier in the night and y'all went up to bed, and then Allison was like, he's eating that meatball sub like the saddest person in the entire building.
I appreciate that passion that you had for us and that you were sad like we were sad, because that was very challenging. Man, did we have a rough, oh man, we were right there.
Well,
We
you
were
know
right
what?
there.
Hey, but
Day
the
three,
next week over at AAU's, we made up for it.
We turned it around. We turned it around.
You got that first banner and a national championship the next year. Erin Flynn, thank you so much for joining us right over here on Volleyball. Do appreciate it. And again, we're big fans of your entire family. And like I said, the best of luck to your daughters. And like I said, just can't thank you enough for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed it.
All right, there you go. There's Coach Erin Flynn. We got a chance to talk about the entire story of her daughter's recruitment process. And again, it's great to hear, because so much of what's going on in volleyball right now, you hear from coaches where they have a team for a year and then everyone hits the transfer portal. And to hear that process of she committed there to be there 4 years. And hopefully that's exactly what happens. But I'm a big believer. I hope that my daughter down the line finds a place where she's so happy that even when there are challenges, she's like, I want to be here.
I also love that they taught their daughter to advocate and speak on her own behalf, because it's such a life skill in the future. You know, there's a million recruiting services out there that you can pay great money to, and they will get you with their contacts and they'll get you phone calls and whatnot. But what a life skill and lesson to be able to talk on your behalf, to speak about your strengths, to learn how to live in the adult world while still in high school, trying to position yourself as someone who could be a benefit to play on a team like that. I was like soaking that up, and for sure, even just the make sure you respond to everybody. We'd be so quick to just like leave an email in the inbox and not respond because of some hang up we have about the city or the flights or whatever. But just what can happen if you just take the call?
Well, there is a difference. There is a difference when you have a five-star athlete and they have their choice of everything. But 5 stars are rare. For the most part, you're going to have a whole lot of 3 stars, maybe a 4, where they have to weigh everything. And I love Coach Erin's message of every call is a compliment, and reward that compliment. Get back with the coach, talk with them, and have an honest discussion. And I think when it comes to Kellen, that's going to benefit her down the road when she works in the professional world, where you know how to handle these conversations, including telling people that have invested time, hey, it's not going to work out. I'm not interested in being here.
And you don't have to be a hugger, apparently.
Apparently not.
To still get love.
No hugs.
That was hilarious.
That's incredibly funny. So, again, like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this particular version. We've got a handful of other guests that are going to be coming up over this week and then next week.
Kellen, we better have some new listeners in Alaska after
I
this.
know. We better pick up
I'm
some
going to be
Alaska.
watching.
I'm going to be staring at it. We've now seen it. I think we're like 28 states and 9 countries, including, hey, thank you, Germany.
Oh, gosh.
My wife is now the David Hasselhoff of Germany. All right, take us out, Hasselhoff. Take us out, the Hoff.
Himmel, Donnerwetter, Nachhimmel.
Today is gonna be the day that we run out of cash. Watching every serve and kill, it's a total smash. By now you should have somehow realized what we've lost. Our free time's gone, it's all for volleyball at any cost. I tend to believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. entrance fees for tournaments our girls already in. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but we're at the bar, drinking through the overwhelm. No life beyond this far. Don't believe that anybody feels the way we do about the nets and all the chaos we're stuck into, and all the roads we drive, all the states you see. We've been volleyballed, oh, so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. The hotel nights, the drinks, they keep us finding a way to cope with all this endless grind. Oh, we're trapped, no life outside. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyballed, oh, so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Today was gonna be the day, but we're still here. Volleyball, oh volleyball. I don't believe that anybody